Mexican American, me forever! We build this country, we not illegal, we are hard workers! Mexican American, me forever! United, never be divided!
Gracias.
Órale, señor. Gracias, Simón.
Hello, we're here with the front page at the Denver Capitol. As you can see, we got a big protest going on, protesting Trump's new policies, mass deportation. Yeah, we're here to talk to people. What are you doing today?
We are protesting for our rights. No one is illegal on stolen land, and we wanted to make it known. As you can see, the whole community, the whole Denver, everyone popped out as the whole Latin community. Now I'm going to say, ¡Viva México! ¡Chica la migra la verga!
Trump says give back, we say take back. Trump says get back, we say come back.
How you doing today? Mind if I do a quick interview?
We're gonna show you who we are.
Right. What are you guys here doing today?
We're protesting for the illegal immigrants who can't be here today, so we want to be a voice for them.
Okay. What is the importance of a protest like this?
Well, since it's been going around so much, we hope Trump listens to us and hears us and knows that we're human too. We deserve to be here as much as anybody else.
Okay, what's your name?
Fernando Michelle Montes.
Okay, and what are you doing here today?
I'm here to protest for the people who don't have a voice in this, that are scared at home and scared to even go to the grocery store and do their daily tasks because they feel attacked just by where they came from. I feel like America is built on great immigrants, and I feel like they have so much to bring to the table, especially here in this country. And I'm here to just support them and be a voice for them, for the people who can't. Especially because I am a daughter of immigrants. I want to do what I can for what they have gave me.
How do you think the culture of America changes with mass deportation?
The culture of America? The joy. Like, look at this. Like, all these people are just here, happy to be part of just their experience being here. People are just happy to be out here. They bring joy, a culture, food. I think a lot of things changes in America when deportation takes a part in it.
What does it feel like to be a young person in this time?
What it feels like to be a young person, it's sad. It's sad having to grow up and see your parents give you so much and you having to see them receive this. So I think it's sad.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Oh, sure. The power of the people is much stronger than the people in power. And then my second one says, I need to be able to tell my children I did not stay silent.
Okay, so what's the importance of protesting here today?
Oh my gosh, we've got 4 more years. And so we have to start now. We just absolutely have to show up and start now. What's going on is not okay. It's not acceptable.
He wants to get into the bedroom and tell people what to do, whether it's having access to an abortion pill or condoms. I've heard they want to overturn a court case that's called Griswold v. Connecticut. That's the right of married couples to possess condoms. You know, how far are these lunatics going to go? They really want to get into someone's bedroom and just tell them what to do. And why? That's a sign of a man that himself has very small penis.
Here today.
I'm here to protest the stupid things that are going on in the government right now, specifically Project 2025. It's ridiculous that it could even have gotten this far, and quite frankly, we need to fight against it.
Okay, what's the attire today?
Well, they told us to dress in red, white, and blue, and I thought, well, patriotic, why not?
Yeah. Very, very. What do you think America looks like under Trump in the next 4 years?
Oh God, like a hellscape. As far as I'm concerned, if we don't start actually putting some limits on what they're able to do, it's just going to be like a free-for-all, and there's nothing that we could do about it. So we need to fight now and get it taken care of.
Okay. And what do you think the meaning is of protests like this? What impact do they have?
Unfortunately, I would have to say that compared to like when I was a kid, the impact is a lot less, but at least we have a physical face presence to say, hey, we're here, we're going to actually fight you the whole time along. And that's about the best I can hope for right now.
Yeah. Why do you think there was more of an impact when you were a kid?
Well, when people said, hey, I've got a grievance, people actually, some of the time, listened. You know, they actually took care of it. But now it feels like no matter what you say, they're just going to ignore you.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's still important that you got to come out here.
Absolutely. I want to make sure that everybody knows that the more people we have, that they may be one or a small group of oligarchs, but we are massive, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to take care of this country by ourselves.
Okay.
That's why I'm here, really.
What do you think of Elon?
Elon, he's personally, I mean, look, you got a ketamine addict running the show here. You have RFK, a 14-year heroin addict. I mean, who the hell does Trump have in his administration but a bunch of lunatics? Seriously. Anyway, it's nice talking to you. I appreciate you stand up for the free press.
Yeah.
Before they fucking lock your ass up.
I'm glad I listened to
Appreciate it.
You enjoy that? All right, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Where are you from?
Cooperate with ICE. Mayor Denver. No level.
No, there's no reason for that.
Okay.
I mean, we all got here one which way or another, especially you and me. We didn't come from here.
Right.
We should make it as hard as possible for all of those systems. We've already seen it in the other states where not cooperating with ICE has made it substantially harder for them to pick anybody up, and it's just people standing together. There should be no cooperation. States shouldn't be scared of losing funding. States have the power. That's the whole point of this. Trump wanted to give power back to the states, but he's just taking it federally. Give the states the power. People have the power. There should be no cooperation.
It's not justice. I just feel like it's at a breaking point. The fact that it's turned less into politics and more into like a kind of celebrity show.
Okay. Is it like how do you think the culture of America has shifted?
It's created a great divide. Like even if it's not just between genders, races, it's gotten to the point where it's between families. And I feel like if we can't kind of even teach politics and keep it the same aligned throughout, then it's going to keep happening regardless. Because each generation I'm talking to has a different idea of the political climate, and it's getting frustrating for everyone.
How do we heal that divide?
I'm sorry?
How do we heal that divide?
I feel like honestly sitting down, I know it's crazy to say, but sitting down and actually hearing everybody, because there's a thread of truth through everything. And if we're not sitting down having that conversation with generations, not just different people around the world, we're not going to figure out what's going on. Because I can't even tell you what the source of the problem is, but the fact that if there's this many people this pissed, I feel like that we have to sit down and kind of iron out what's the issue. And if this many people that are so divided are in one protest, that means something weird is going on, if you ask me.
Yeah. Anything else you want to share with us?
Kind of take a moment and talk to people. That's all I can say, because honestly, we're not going to get through to anyone if no one listens and we keep being on our high horse.
I'm here just doing mutual aid, giving out water, giving out food to people in the area, although we ran out of water pretty quick.
Yeah,
that was a hot item on a sunny day like this.
Yeah, sunny day. So what's the importance of a protest like this?
Importance for me, I don't know, I have a lot of friends who are transgender, mostly at this point in time. That's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about standing up for my friends, making sure that they see that people care about them, standing against the current administration.
Okay, what do you think the country will look like in 4 years under Trump?
I think that depends, because I think it's not all Trump. I think it depends on us. I think it depends on what we do.
Okay. Yeah. So that's the importance of a protest like this.
Absolutely.
Using our voice.
I think we can change a lot.
Okay, anything else you want to share with us?
No, thank you for being out here.
Yeah, thank you.
You have a good one.
You too. All right.
Side of the U.S. and they see us as almost a joke. I feel like the tariffs on our own neighbors, on Canada and Mexico, I feel like that's a bit uncalled for. Just in general, it's not a good look.
Right. Anything else you want to share with us?
I mean, God bless America at the end of the day, I'd like to say. Yeah.
All right. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Stay safe, yo.
Yeah, you too.
Name's Ron Booth, and in a very real sense, I'm doing the same thing that I've been doing since I was about 15 years old, fighting for justice, fighting for equality, fairness in this space that we call a democracy.
Okay. What's the importance of the protest today?
Well, I think it's a first step opportunity for people to come together following the onslaught of executive orders we've seen come out of the White House. I've never seen such a broad segment of the population so shocked into disbelief by the outrageous steps that this administration has taken already. And I think even the scarier part is that there's probably even more to come.
Right. And what do you think America will look like after 4 years?
It's hard to say. If, as a follow-up to protests like this, enough people will remain active, keep after their representatives to hold this administration accountable, to constantly remind our representatives that they swore an oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and make it absolutely clear that it's politically unsafe to stand with this administration and its policies. I think, at least in D.C., we'll see the pendulum swing back the other way. I think we're going to see this pendulum politically swing back the other way in terms of what we see in local politics. I think we're starting to see that already. But my real concern goes beyond the next 4 years. As we saw during his first 4 years in office, he loaded up the Supreme Court and many other judicial positions with his hand-picked judges, which is part of the reason he was never held accountable before he made this second run for president. So during this term, he's probably gonna have the opportunity to appoint one more, maybe two more justices to the Supreme Court, as well as a whole slew of lower federal court positions, and that could hold the country back for a number of years before we can even get back to where we were before he came into office.
Okay, yeah. And what impact do you think he has culturally on America?
I think initially he struck a chord with a lot of Americans who feel like they just aren't able to get ahead. And what people I don't think realize is the average population has been getting further and further behind ever since Reaganomics of the 80s. You go back to the very early 80s, and the cost of living and what average incomes were very closely aligned to one another. It was no problem for a single full-time wage earner in a household to be able to buy a house, to be able to save money, go on vacation, and all those things that so many people can't do today, even if they've got two full-time workers in a household, and sometimes even some of those workers working additional gigs or side gigs to just make ends meet. I mean, what I've heard recently from economists is that even people of my generation, or not quite as old as myself because I am retired, but people approaching retirement who are depending on their 401ks or other savings are having to cash those out prematurely in order to be able to just keep afloat and to be able to help their kids maybe buy a new home, maybe be able to afford college, maybe be able to afford the things that were so easily affordable 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
So I think because he spoke to those conditions, that's what helped get him elected, and I think Democrats failed to speak to the specifics of the economics that affect so many Americans.
Right, yeah. And what will be the solution for that? Can we turn that ship around? I don't want to talk about that.
It's a big ship. It's like trying to, it's like trying to turn an ocean liner or a what do they call them, aircraft carrier around on a dime, you know? It's going to take time. It's certainly going to take a lot longer than what it's taken him to screw things up via his executive orders, unfortunately, because the biggest counter to that we have is the court system. And even when we've got the best judges possible in place, that's still a very slow process. Generally, for a lot of good reasons. In this particular situation, it'd be nice if those processes could be sped up considerably.
Yeah. What can an individual do to help?
There's a lot of things. I mean, one of the things that comes to mind, and I think it's part of the problem with our government today, both Democrats and Republicans, is people have allowed themselves to be convinced that their vote doesn't matter, that their voice doesn't matter. So people talk to each other about the problems and the issues they have with their government, and they seldom pick up the phone and call their representatives. Write them an email directly. Everybody does the online petitions, and those things have gotten to be pretty much throwaways anymore, whether it's Republicans or Democrats, no matter what the issue, because the minute anybody sees that, it's like, okay, I'll sign the petition. Oh, you want more money from me? And it's like, yeah, sorry, got no more money. So I think if people were just to consistently, persistently get after their legislatures, even if you got a Republican and you're a Democrat, a progressive, even if you're an anarchist, still there's a person in D.C. who, if you call their office and say, hey, this is wrong, I need you to stand up, the more of those voices that are heard, they start to drown out the lobbyists, because in the absence of our voices being directly heard, the only voices they hear day in, day out is that of the lobbyists.
Okay. Yeah. Anything else you want to share with us?
Peace, love, and go naked. I mean, I'm simultaneously hopeful and fearful, and I say that because at every major turning point, like this one in our country, people come together, they get active, they start engaging in nonviolent civil disobedience, and there's almost always a violent component reacting to that. And that'll come again, I'm sure. I hope it isn't as severe as sometimes we've seen in the past. But ultimately, as long as people persist, history shows we've always prevailed.
Okay, yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time.
Thanks again for being a journalist.
Yeah. Thank you.
There should be cooperation through people.
Okay. You had something to say?
Yeah, man. I think there is nothing new in the world except the history you do not know. That is a quote that I have had ingrained in my head since I was about 12 years old. My grandfather told me. We need to be better students of our history if we're going to understand how we get out of these things, because there isn't anything that we're living through. Sure, the cynicism has changed, the language has changed, but we're living through the same things over and over again. And I think there's a lack of education in this country, especially on the historical side. We're not taught the real side of history. I work at the History Museum, History Colorado. The amount of people walking out that don't know what Sand Creek Massacre was and them hearing about it there for the first time, it's appalling to me. Like, how do we forget so quickly? And unfortunately, it comes down to a deliberate attempt by government to persuade us otherwise. And that is why I'm here, and that's why so many of us are here today.
Yeah, so what's the way forward? Can you point to a time historically that was similar to now?
I could point to a couple. The first that comes to mind is the French Revolution. The distraction with entertainment is a big one, and that happened back in Rome as well. And right before the fall of Rome. But the French government, after financing the U.S. war, a war that they could not afford, it was the U.S. Revolution, their own people were starving as a direct result of that. Because they couldn't afford to feed their own people, they started giving them cheaper and cheaper foods, but it kept their bellies full. And they put a huge emphasis on entertainment. And eventually it got so bad, Marie Antoinette didn't say let them eat cake as like oh, fuck these guys. It's like, why can't they just do that? And that was the problem. So that's the first time. Nazi Germany and fascist Germany ranging from 1923 to 1945 is the second one for me.
I interject the fall of Rome as well. The overarching government gets spread too far, too much power, and you can't control all of those people. You have to have smaller factions. It's how life has always been. Government always ends when it starts reaching too far and for too much power.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So what's the way forward?
The way forward, I think we need to create community first of all. Because we aren't going to hear these histories from schools. We aren't going to hear these histories from the governments that propagate this terrible information, this misinformation. The second thing that we need to do is we need to make sure that we all agree on what the facts actually are. We can't go forward unless we can agree, yes, Sand Creek happened, the Holocaust happened. All of these things are within the last 250 years. This is not unrecent history. So we have to really talk about what it is that we agree that the history is. We have to really dig into indigenous cultures and what they say their history is, because they know it better than anybody else. Who is the white man to tell the natives in this state what their history is? We have to break away from the propagandized version of history, and that ultimately comes from community and bringing people together in events like this. This is the start of it, but we can't let it die down. It can't be the cyclical, we just go and protest for a day and then it falls down. I see that too much.
Yeah. So what's the importance of a protest like this?
Getting to know your neighbors, getting to come together as community. I think that's really the biggest step forward, is getting to know everybody and, like you're saying, learn the past, learn history with the truest extent that we can, but then we have to be present and get to know the people around you more, start getting to know the neighbors that you don't talk to as much. Come together, start creating. You don't even have to create support groups. There's already so many out there, and it's just being present and aware and taking that step forward to say, no, we don't want this. And it's as simple as getting to know the people around you. And I feel like that's why so many people are able to come together with strangers, because they start to get to know people.
The other thing, the last thing that I would say as far as how do we improve this, engage in the civic process more. The city council meetings are public for a lot of reasons, and there are public comment forums for this very reason as well. And not enough people utilize them. You know, most people, are tired after work, and I understand that. I work a very physically intensive job a lot of times of the year, but that doesn't mean that I don't have a duty to try and make things better. And you have to engage in saying to your representatives, no, this is not what the public wants, and you have to speak as a representative of your community. And it's not comfortable. You have to be willing to risk something, but as long as you go in with the mindset of, I'm not doing this for just me, and I'm doing this for other people, and go and engage in that process and put yourself on the hot seat, so to speak, that can speak volumes. And that's how movements have been started. That's what Martin Luther King did.
Right. So, community.
Community. Plant the seed for the tree that you will not sit under.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, I appreciate you guys watching. It's cool to be at events like this. There'll be more. Subscribe. Like and subscribe. This is Luke.
Like and subscribe.
I blame it a lot on social media. A large general population of the public is very misinformed. You only see what you want to see, and unless you break out of that cycle of fake news, as the right loves to call it especially, you're not going to see what's actually going on. You really got to dig.